reaction to getting the contract extension? Of course, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I certainly amazing feeling for me and my family, and I'm very thankful and appreciative of the opportunity I have every day. I've said that to you guys before, and I'm very appreciative of the Pagulas and for believing in me and putting me in this opportunity, and for what they do. They want to see us have success, and they give us every opportunity to do that. And I've said this probably a million times, but I feel like it's an honor to have this job. It's such a responsibility to our players, our coaching staff, our whole organization, and our community, and the Sabres fans to get this right. And so for me, it's exciting, but it's focused on how do we get better now.
Right. In that sense, Kevin, how mindful are you that the job is not done yet, and this team still has some ways to go?
Yeah, I mean, we have a long way to go. We have to earn everything, and this time last year we talked a lot about we have to earn the respect within our locker room of each other. We have to earn the respect through the staff. We have to earn the fans' respect. We have to earn the media respect. And I think our guys took that to heart, and they took some big steps last year in connecting with what it means to be a Sabre, and really showing that they want to be here for the right reasons. But we're nowhere near where we need to be, where we want to be, and we're going to push every day to get there. But yeah, that's I think in this job, you have to wake up every day figuring out ways to get better, figuring out ways to help your players, help the coaching staff, help the organization be better than you were the day before, regardless of what you've done the year before or where you are in the standings. And that's always been my mindset.
Kevin, communication was something that Terry cited when Bots was let go. It was something that he cited yesterday as one of your strengths, and one of the things he was happy about. When you think about developing that through all facets of the organization, you've made that a priority. How tough has that process been, and what was that process like to kind of bring a fractured organization together?
Well, I think about it, Mike, in a few different ways. One, communication to ownership is something that is every day. I'm talking every day. Communication within if you take it, down to the team, within our locker room and the coaching staff is so critical to how we're going to build this together. And I feel like sitting and having breakfast or having a coffee and just talking to our players about their families or what they did in the off season, and just being myself and just making sure that people understand what the vision is and how we're gonna do this together, and just doing that every day and being consistent. And that's just me being myself and just not trying to be something I'm not. So that's another piece. And then the last piece within the organization, one of the things that I did day one on the job was try to take down any walls that there were within the hockey department towards the other parts of the organization. I mean, we will not get to where we need to be without the marketing department and community relations and finance and operations. I mean, there's just so many ticketing, so much that goes on day to day, and those people have to, one, feel valued in what they do by the hockey department and the players. Two, they have to be supported. They have hard jobs. They need to understand what the vision is here so they can execute their jobs. So it's something you have to work at daily. But you know what, Mike? At the end of the day, treat people the right way, do the right things. No one in this organization should feel that they're more valuable than anyone else, and that's from players through coaching staff, myself, and anyone in the organization. And I believe that when you have that mindset and then you do that every day, people buy in and believe in what's happening.
Kevin, when we talked in March, you talked about taking a deep dive into injuries and taking a real look at it through the summer. What kind of things did you come up with to try to reduce some of the injury problems that you've had? And do you have the same training staff? Did you make any changes to the medical staff? What did you come up with?
Yeah, it's. I'm glad you asked the question, Paul, because this was maybe for me the first off season where I had a little more time to do that, and there was so much going on those first couple of years, and every day was almost felt like surviving, where I didn't feel like some of these things that I could really take a deep dive on, and that was a priority. So what we did at the start of the off season was really sit down and look at our injuries last year. Okay, what were they and why and how? And is it a soft tissue? Is it overuse? Is it just a bruise, a bone bruise, where it's just a block a shot and it's what it is? So you have to understand why. I talked to our doctors a lot, early in the off season about what they're seeing. They're the experts. What was happening, what was their take on it. And then I had individual meetings with everybody in the sports performance department, and I wanted to understand, one, from the injury standpoint, what was going on, and then two, probably more importantly, to be honest, what was going to be our process of how we get our players back and healthy. And what we've worked on this offseason was being process-oriented on that, communicating better, flow of information from doctor to player to sports performance to coaching staff to me, having everybody part of that process and being updated on daily, weekly basis, and then ultimately funneling that up to a last meeting we had 2 weeks ago to get everybody in the room and just kind of tighten up our process and protocols and communication, with ultimately the doctors signing off at the end for a return to play. So it's kind of a long answer, but it's a long process, and I do feel good. What I did make very clear to our staff right in the beginning was, this isn't finger pointing, this isn't blaming. No one's saying that you're at fault because we had certain man games lost. I just want to understand why. That's my job. I have to ask questions and get the answers, and I feel very confident that we're all on the same page now. And when we do have something come up, that we have a plan. And maybe last year at this time we just weren't quite good enough with our planning all around. So I feel a little bit better where we're at.
Do you feel you have to maybe change some of the training that's done, whether it's practices, whether it's off-ice training? Does some of that have to change?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and that's honestly, the game evolves every year, and there's so much more information and data. And Donnie Granado and the coaching staff are really good with sitting with our sports performance team, and led by Ed Gannon, and just understanding workloads and where guys are at, and maybe today they need to back off a little bit, or there's probably extra days last year that we gave players the day off totally because they just needed it, and that was based on not as much Donnie and the coaching staff, but more based on the sports science. So that communication's critical, and then Donnie really knows after every practice which drill he does gets our players at certain levels, and so he might go shorter in a practice, but knowing he can do these 2 or 3 drills to get what he needs. So that's all the communication that started last year, but we'll be better with this year. And they have tough jobs. Those are not easy jobs, but I feel confident with where we're at now.
Kevin, a year ago you were unfortunately stripping Jack of his captaincy. Do you have an outline of what your plan on captain is for this season?
Yeah, we'll have a captain this year. We've talked a lot about it in the off season. That's something that we're still going to spend a little bit of time on over the next week or two, but we'll have that before the regular season. Our leadership group. And what I'll say honestly, where I get really excited is it's great to have a captain and assistant captains, but it's also great to have leaders within your locker room that maybe don't have an A, whether that's a veteran player. I look at some of our younger players like a Samuelson or Cozens or guys like Peyton Krebs. These guys have been captains, for growing up in the different teams. So we'll make that announcement. We'll get that out before the regular season starts and have it in place. But we want to create an environment and a culture, John, where the guys can come in and be themselves every day. And whether that's a rookie or that's a veteran, they get to be who they are. And I think when you do that, then you're giving chance for the players to be the best version of themselves. And some guys are quiet, some guys are loud, some guys lead by example, some guys are always talking. And one of the best leaders I've ever been around was Rod Brindamore, and he didn't say much. So we have that different kind of dynamic in our locker room, but we'll get to that soon. But we also feel good about the bigger group of leaders we have in the room.
Kevin,
The Tage contract, I think people were surprised that it came so suddenly. I mean, you had time. Why didn't you do it now? And just why the commitment?
Well, you've heard me talk a lot about as we build this roster, we're working towards setting it up for sustainable success, and we want to make sure that we identified our core. We identified the players that truly want to be here, that are going to be part of this for the long term, and we didn't want to make decisions or go do things that might block us from being able to do that. So this is an example now of where we made a decision. We felt it was the right decision, get Tage long term, and we also know we're going to have plenty more of those coming, which is a great thing because that means our own players are developing and becoming better. For Tage specifically, there's a lot that goes into it. You don't ever make these decisions in a vacuum. You really look at every possible thing. You look at the intangibles, like what are they like from a character standpoint? What are they like, off the ice? Or are they loved by their teammates, the coaches? What are they like in the community? How do they handle things? So you look at all what I'd call intangibles, and then you look at what you can really quantify from a number standpoint, and then you're projecting out, do we believe this player will continue to grow and get better? Do they have the right kind of that growth mindset where regardless of what their contract status is, they're going to get up every day and try to get better? And that's Tage Thompson to a T. And the one other thing I'll say about Tage is, I've been asked quite a bit about, he had, 1 year, you call it 1 year of, high-end production and, getting this type of deal. I actually look at it a little bit differently, where I love that he went through a lot of adversity to get to where he got to in his career. He had a lot of challenges as a young player. He's put in a high-profile trade. He spent time in the minors. He's been through a tough injury. He was scratched. He was on the taxi squad. And none of this stuff kept him down. It wasn't, woe is me. It's, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to figure out a way to have success. So I actually think that body of work that he put together gives me personally comfort that he's the type of player we want to have here for a long time.
Kevin, you said you guys have a long way to go, but how do you feel about where this entire organization is at now compared to even a year ago? And what do you envision that next step being, considering that this offseason you sent a message to everybody in that room that you weren't going to go spend money to try to bring somebody in above them?
Yeah, Lance, I think everybody would stand here in my position and start a training camp and across the league, and everybody has the same goal. Everybody wants to win a Stanley Cup. You want to be holding that trophy at the end of the year, and that's important. That's why we do what we do and the focus we have every day. But I think you have to, Donnie and I talk about this a lot, you have to narrow the focus. You have to shrink it down and really start to get in the moment of, okay, what do I need to do today? How do we win the day? How do we win the moments? And we talk a lot about that internally of let's win the moments, let's win the day, and then it's going, that process of doing that's going to exponentially raise the level, the standard of everybody in our locker room and our organization. The outcome of doing that over time will lead us to where we believe we can get to. So for me, yeah, I'm excited about the group we have. I'm excited about where we're at. I know we're young, and I know we have players that are going to go through ups and downs. It's just the nature of it, but I stood in front of the team yesterday and I looked the guys in the eye and I was excited, about this group and what's being built here. But the challenge is to get better every day. The challenge is to make sure that we hold each other accountable to be our best, and that's all of us. And, if we do that, then I really believe we're going to take steps.
Kevin, when you saw the prospects challenge, do you have even more belief now of the young depth that you have in your organization now?
Yeah, I do. I was really proud of the way our guys competed. I just sat and had breakfast with the development staff actually this morning, and I made a comment to them that what was really nice to see was, we know when we draft these players, there's so much work that Jerry Ford and his staff does. You see the skill, you see the talent, but sometimes when it raises and you have to really compete, and you're saying, okay, where are we going to be? Our guys competed. I think they fed off the energy. I don't know if you guys were at Harbor Center. It was awesome. 2 of those games sold out, and just the chants in the crowd. And I think it gave our prospects a little bit of a spark and a little bit of a, wow, okay, this is what it's like to be here in Buffalo. So I was proud of the effort. I thought Seth and the guys did a really nice job. Just like helping the guys relax but be intense at the same time, finding that balance and just going out and playing fearless.
Injuries? Anybody not ready for camp?
Overall, we had a couple from rookie camp that are kind of day-to-day, Bloom and Berzalo, that missed the end of camp there. But overall, guys came in good shape. healthy, ready to go. There's some guys that we'll monitor a little bit during camp to make sure we don't overdo it. 40-year-olds and all that stuff. So, but we're healthy and the guys are ready to go.
Kevin, does your extension reflect you at least temporarily taking over any of the duties of team president in Kim's absence? And secondly, has Matthew Pagula been elevated to any official role, given what we saw from him at the draft and in the room on the embed video during free agency?
Yeah, no, Matthew. Start with Matthew. I mean, he's a great kid. He's it's amazing actually before my eyes. When Pagula's bought the team, the age, and here he is. And what I've told him and all of the Pagula kids is the door is always open. Come in, spend as much time as you want. You could be anywhere you want to be. Sit with me, practice games. You want to go on a trip, whatever it is. And I think it's important to have transparency within our organization and within their family to know that they own the team and they should be excited to be here with us. So no, nothing's changed with Matthew. I think he's starting to learn, and he also spends time over with Brandon in the football ops and kind of just finding his way. In terms of my role, nothing's changed. I am the general manager. I will always, and I've told this to Terry and Kim and the business side as well, that I'm always going to help in any way I can. And if they need me, I'm here for them. But my day-to-day responsibility is focused on this hockey team, being the general manager.
Kevin, now that camp is here, you have the way the roster is set up right now. There's going to be, it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of competition, but is that something you want to set that bar for the younger guys to say, hey, listen, you want it, you got to take it?
Yeah, I to be honest, I look at it a little bit differently. I think there's a lot of competition internally. I think that when players come to camp, we want them to have the mindset you have to earn everything. You have to earn your spot within the team. You have to earn your spot within the organization. You have to earn the ice time you get. And our players want that. And for me, it's that I love the way Donnie and the coaching staff and Seth and his coaching staff have our guys practice. They get better in practice. They compete in practice. They push each other in practice. And that's just, helping them into the game. So for me, training camp is a great time to evaluate, to see where we're at overall organizationally. But I think there's a lot of competition within that room for, not just jobs, but for ice time and spots on power play and penalty kill and all of that, which I think is, a spot that maybe we weren't in, the last couple of years.
What kind of expectation or what kind of jump would you like to see from Jack Quinn or J.J. Paterka?
Well, yeah, there's a balance, Paul. What they did last year is pretty extraordinary at their age in the American Hockey League. So you're evaluating them on their body of work. They've certainly put themselves in a good position to show that they're ready to make this next step, but they're going to have to go earn it. We're going to watch them in training camp closely. But you also don't want them trying to be something they're not. They're feeling like, this shift, it's all in this shift, because they've also put a pretty good body of work together to show us what they can do. But I think they're both driven to be great, and I think that their summers of work that they put in, the body of work last year that they put in now is for them mentally, just me spending some time with them recently, I think mentally they feel like, okay, we're ready to take on this challenge. So no pressure, no expectation other than them just being themselves.
When it comes to roster spots and competition for jobs, is it a sure thing, or as much of a sure, do you want UPL in Rochester? And where are you how confident are you in your goaltending situation when knowing that Craig is his age and Comrie has played, I think I got it right here, 28 career games? How confident are you that you have that settled in UPL?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I guess to really answer it, I'd want to give you guys perspective on the whole picture that we looked at for goaltending. You're signing Hauser and Worm to AHL deals, depth, very good goaltenders and tremendous people, the type of people we want in this organization. You look at the signing of Subban, as someone that we felt is a player that we know can play. has experience, he's at a good age, and he is about as good of a human being as you can have, and just in terms of the way he carries himself every day. And he wanted to be here, a guy that had been on one-way deals, to want to re-sign here with us, I think says a lot about him and who he is. And then UPL specifically, and I've had this conversation with him multiple times. This maybe sounds a little odd, I don't know, but it's more about starts for him. It's more about where he gets his less about where he gets his minutes, more about him getting his minutes. And I truly believe that because, he's had some challenges of, with injuries and just, getting himself into that rhythm of having that foundation to build on. And what I've talked to him about is we believe in him. We believe in him 100%. He's going to be a very good National Hockey League goalie. What we want to do is when he's here, he's ready. And not just here to be here, but he's ready. And so we're open. We'll see how it shakes out, but we want him playing. When I look at Craig Anderson and, you guys know how we feel about him as a person and what he's done in this, organization in a short time and how much he helped our locker room. But we also feel really good about him as a goaltender. I don't want to just say that he's such a good veteran because I felt last year every time he put on the equipment and played for us, he gave us a chance to win. He's understands the way he needs to play to have success. He really helped our young defensemen. And then if you flip to Eric Comrie, that we really felt the body of work he's put in, the age he's had, when you mesh it all together, we just feel like he's in a position in his career where he's ready to take the next step. Now he has to go earn that and prove that. But also when you look at Craig Anderson in the way we believe that he can kind of mentor and help him, is where we're at and why we made the decisions we made. But we do feel we feel good. We feel that we're in a position where these guys are going to give us a chance to win hockey games every night, and that's why we made the decisions we did in the summer.
When you watched Cozens in the World Championship, and he told me he had never played left wing before, and there he is first shift on the left wing, and he played left wing the whole tournament. What did you take out of the performance you saw for him? Because he was playing well at the end of year, but the puck wasn't going in. Well, he led that tournament in goal scoring. So what did you take away when you saw him in that tournament?
Well, there's a couple of takeaways I had specifically on that. One, versatility is critical, in my opinion, to have players in our lineup that can play multiple positions. They can slide from wing to center. You can play lefty, righty. And I'll say just generally, it's much more comfortable for a winger growing up, a center growing up to be able to slide to the wing than vice versa. It's tough to go the other way, but so it didn't surprise me that Dylan, as kind of a natural center his whole life, was able to slide to the wing, no problem. But the second part that I liked probably really more specifically about Dylan and what he did at the World Championships was, he and I had a real good chat before he left after the season, and he said, I said, well, what is your goal? Like, don't just go over there to go and play some more hockey. Like, what are you looking to get out of this? And he said, I want to score goals. He said, I know I can score goals in the National Hockey League. I know I've been getting chances, but I want to go over there and find my scoring touch. And like you said, it went well. So I think he went over with a specific goal in mind, and he produced. So, Donnie, my goal was to give Donnie as many talented hockey players as we can, both up front and on D and in net, and then let him figure out how to get it to shake out. But I think versatility and having guys be able to slide to wing or center back and forth is really helpful.
Kevin, the number of prospects you have, the way you finished last season has created more good feelings around this team, probably since Jack's second year and maybe even further than that. What's a good season in your mind? It's going to be tough to make up a 25-point gap and make the playoffs. You're going to want to see your young players get better, but people are still dealing with this playoff drought. What's going to be a good season?
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm ducking the question, because I'm not going to give you a point total, because I think it's dangerous to do that. But what I can tell you is, at the end of last season, I started to feel like our players went into games believing we were going to win. There was a different energy, a different mindset, a different confidence, a different trust within each other than maybe we had previously. And you have to earn that. So as I think about our division and I think about playing those teams and how good those teams are and the respect I know we have for those teams and what they've done, I'm excited to see if we can get to the point where we go and play those teams and our guys, we can beat this team tonight. and we're going to beat this team tonight, and here's why. So how that translate exactly into the standings, we'll let it shake out. But what I go back to is, are we winning the day? Are we pushing each other? Are we helping each other get better? Even though you're going to have some ups and downs, especially with younger players. But do I sense that we're improving across the board? That's what I'm looking for. And I can't wait. And I've told the players yesterday, and by the way, we're all in this together. We're going to go through this together. You're not by yourself, And I think if the players feel that support and they know that we're all in this together, it just naturally helps them stay calm, do their job, and do the right things.
Kevin, what growth have you seen from Rasmus Dahlin off the ice? And from your perspective last season, what was it like seeing him have the season that he did?
Rasmus is a really impressive person. He cares so much. He loves being a Buffalo Sabre. He wants to be here. He loves his teammates. He is ultra competitive, and he's driven to be the best, period. So what I saw out of Rasmus was a maturity last year that even if things maybe weren't going perfectly for him, there was a calmness and a belief that, okay, I'm going out the next shift. And I give Donnie and Marty and the coaching staff a lot of credit for that, because he had that confidence from them. If he made a mistake, you're going right back out there and you're going to fix it. And he did. He self-corrected very well. He wants to learn. So I think he's just a player now that's entering, a few years in the league. You start to understand what this league's all about. There's a confidence and a quiet, what I'll call it a quiet swagger about him in a good way, where he just believes in himself and he believes in this team. So I'm excited for Rasmus. He went and did the media tour in Vegas, and really he's handling himself well in these types of situations off the ice too, which is all part of this. And he's a pretty good golfer. Played golf with him a couple weeks ago, and spent some time with him just talking. And he's just a really special person. We're lucky to have him.
When it comes to your expectations that you were talking about, how do you keep patient and knowing where you are in your build while looking around the Eastern Conference, which has been a tough 8 to crack for not just the Sabres but a lot of other teams, and then seeing what the Blue Jackets in Ottawa have done, and you essentially standing pat, having confidence in your roster. How did you maintain patience in knowing where this team is and knowing that you still have a daunting challenge to crack that top 8?
Yeah, I understand the question, John. I think where I get to with that is just to really, really focusing on our own group. Every team's in a different spot. They're going to make their own decisions. We know there's good hockey teams out there. This is a tough league. But what in my position, what I didn't want to do was waver from our vision, our strategy of how we're going to build this the right way with the right people, and let any noise or outside, things going on with other teams affect us. Stay the course, be patient, trust the process of what we're doing here and what our short and long term goals are, and stick with it. And that's what we did this summer.
Were you mindful of the fact that in the past that previous GMs here have perhaps rushed the process and screwed it up?
No, I honestly don't even think about that. I'm so focused on us and what we're doing every day. I've said this before, and I really, really strongly believe this. You have to learn from the past, but you can't live in the past. So I certainly look at things that have happened before and why decisions were made and try to understand it. But I'm more focused on learning from it and then seeing how can we help this group. And, that's why, quite honestly, targeting Comrie and Lyubushkin were critical for us, because we identified kind of some needs of what we want to do and why, and we were fortunately able to get that done. But you can also get super scattered and try to accomplish so many different things that you end up, maybe not doing anything. So we kind of we were targeted for what we wanted to do, and feel fortunate that we were able to get that done.
Kevin, how busy are you right now dealing with other GMs? There's some significant injuries around the league. There are unsigned players, and they probably recognize that you have a lot of young talent as well in your organization. So just wondering, what it feels like at this time of year, maybe compared to past years, as far as how active you are with them?
Yeah, a lot of conversations over, I'd say, just around Labor Day and past when everybody gets back into, whoa, the season's coming fast. Yeah, I think teams look at our situation, and say, hey, they might want to add a player. Maybe they think that we can help them. We're not in the business of doing anyone favors, I can promise you that. We would do something if we think it makes sense. I get calls every day asking about our young players and kind of what the question just was, that, hey, would you be interested in this, but it's going to cost you this? And the answer has been no, because it hasn't made sense for us. But my job is to be in every single conversation, be open to doing anything we can do to help our team. But what we won't do is something, in the short term or short-sighted that we believe, could hurt us down the road. We have to stay disciplined. We have to trust that what we're doing is going to get us where we need to be, and that's our focus.
Is it possible Spencer Silva earns himself a contract?
Yeah, it is. I think he was, to me, outstanding in the rookie tournament. He's a player we watched very closely going into the draft. Our scouts had quite a book on him. Character person, elite skater, athlete, that type of player. So he's someone we'll watch close. But we were, really impressed with him during the rookie camp, on and off the ice, and that's why he got the invite.
Kevin, were you at all uncomfortable with Ben Bishop? I mean, he wasn't going to play here, but working for another organization, did that make you uncomfortable?
No, it's just there is actually, not right now, but it's not something. It's something I talked to Jim about right off the bat, in terms of where this was and where he was in his own health, and you guys know why we made that, decision in the summer, and but no, not at all.
Casey Mittelstadt had a tough year last year. He got going later on, but just what gives you confidence that he can get back to being the player maybe he was a year ago when he started the season as number one center? So.
Well, Casey, first of all, for me, is really matured over the years, and he is extremely driven to be his best. I think he's a guy that I could see it in him last year. He wanted so bad to get back and playing at the level he knows he can play at, but it's tough when you go through what he went through and trying to play catch up during the year. He's had a good summer. He looks really good. I spent a couple weeks ago, like I mentioned about Rasmus, I took some of the guys on the team that were in town. I took them all out golfing, and we just spent some time together. And Casey was in my group, and just, for 4 hours talking on the golf course just about, his summer and what he did and his focus. And he's a really intelligent, hardworking, self-aware player. And I think those are the types of guys that have success. So I'm excited for Casey to be healthy, to get out there and be able to play his game, and I know he's put the work in. Good?
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Enjoy the first day here on the ice.